Welcome back, my dear potatoes, my spuddies. We are back with Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York. As stated in previous episodes, just because sometimes people show up randomly in the middle of series, which is fine. The threshold for this series is 30 views for video if I am going to continue it. And I have a sort of time limit of about a week. So during the week of its upload or so up to a week after. Just to test to make sure that people are interested in the series, and yeah, I think that's self-explanatory, sort of. I don't know, if you have questions, post them and I'll answer. Alright, let's go ahead and rest on this night. You open your eyes. It's pitch dark here, the blackness of a coffin, drifting in the abyss. Oh, right, the light. You grasp for the switch, flip it. The familiar cramped room with a steel door and no windows comes into view. You emerge from the bedroom fully awake, just like yesterday. This time, however, Sophie's waiting for you, comfortably seated on the sofa in your living room space, a book in her hand. The Melancholy of Resistance. The title's sure on brand. Good evening, Marie. I think Marie was a good name. Sorry to have kept you waiting. I'll just say, let's be courteous, right? That's what the Camarilla's about. Good evening. Good evening, Sophie. I hope you rested well. Tonight will be quite eventful, I think. Come, we have an appointment. I received word Elysium would be called again tonight on account of your unruly friend from Corona Park. This should be a great opportunity for you to mingle. She keeps talking as you walk downstairs and get in the car. Gregory gives you a slight nod and a small smile while opening the door for Sophie. He starts the car when you take your seat in the back. Most of the Primogen Council is bound to be there, at least those who usually attend. Probably some other important personalities you'd do well to at least learn about. Let's read about the Primogen Council represents the interests of the local kindred and advises the prince on matters of law and rule. Traditionally, it consists of representatives from each of the most prominent clans or factions in the domain, naturally favoring those of the Camarilla, though outsiders are allowed to report any issues to a Primogen not of their own clan. Primogen are often elders, but despite the term, Primogen from Latin means the firstborn, there are no rules in place that this is how it must be. In fact, during the last few decades, more and more councils have seen drastic changes to their structure. Fascinating. How should I carry myself when inside? You never told me if there's any savoir-vivre. Alright, that's oh, that sounds like French. This is terrible kind of rule. You never told me if there's any savoir-vivre. Usually this type of word, part of this is not actually said. Vivre, vive, kind of rules I should expect when talking to other vampires. Knowing that you're among your superiors is probably the most important. In our society, status comes with age. Pardon my sincerity, but you are insignificant. Not even associating with me can make the fact that you've been kindred for barely a few nights be forgotten. So know your place. Stay out of your superior's business, and show the utmost respect. Thanking the prince for sparing you, and maybe having a friendly chat with Shadir publicly, might show your gratefulness for being a part of the Camarilla now. I would suggest you make it sincere. At any rate, you should behave yourself tonight. Remember what I told you about reflecting on me as your patron. I have a reputation to uphold in the court. Do not tarnish it. There it is. She might have saved you. She might be protecting and teaching you, but it's clear that what she's really concerned about, her own interests. Well, obviously. Final death. Just because she's older does not mean final death is not an option. You step into the art hole with something of a bad memory. The last time you were here, literally 2 nights ago, your entire world had been turned upside down and your existence nearly ended. But tonight, there is very little outward hostility. Yes, Shadir gives you a look that's definitely intended to remind you of your place, but the prince, also in attendance, seems pleased to see you. Welcome, Sophie. Marie, did I get that right? Good evening to both of you. I understand there is somebody else you wish to present to the court tonight. Yes, Prince. They will be joining us shortly. My assistant is retrieving them presently. This had better be... I can't remember exactly what I did for his voice. I just remember that it was very deep. Also, I think he's my favorite. This better be worth the prince's time, Langley. The prince gives Shadir a cold glance. Forgive the sheriff's harshness. He's in a particularly foul mood tonight. Something to do with Marie's begetter eluding his grasp, I believe. Ouch, that must have hurt his ego, even if his only reply is a crooked smile. The mention of your sire makes you grit your teeth in anger, asshole. Settling you with a curse that cut you off your career, cheated you out of your ambitions, offering little in return so far. You remind yourself that defeatism will get you nowhere. Mindfulness, the here and now. This is an opportunity. You will make the most of it, if only to spite everyone who doubts your true worth. The flaring up of whispers in the gallery hall breaks you out of your thoughts. Gregory enters the room, the jumpsuit-clad, inert vampire still staked on his shoulder. The show is about to start. Sophie's driver places his charge in the middle of the room and nods respectfully to Shadir. Have I changed clothes? The sheriff approaches the vampire and removes the stake from his chest. The captive's eyes flicker to life, and he starts looking around in disbelief. Like a cornered animal, he backs out on all fours. Keeps going on all fours. Oh, that's an image to picture. Keeps going in circles until he realizes he's trapped. Shadir steps on the man's chest and pins him to the floor. Oh, he must have been like crawling like this. Yeah, I can picture that now. Why, what do we have? Who do we have here? Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. No, come on, don't. Silence. The sheriff takes on an aura of utter dread. He appears as if he's a primal force of nature that's out to get you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do but shrivel in terror. The beast inside you shrieks, and you could swear it happens in unison with the instincts of some of the other guests here tonight. It's unlike anything you've experienced in his company during your turbulent first night as a vampire. He really did go easy on you, all things considered. It seems like it takes all of the hoodlum's willpower to not crawl into a fetal position and start crying. No, please, don't hurt me, man, don't. You and me are going to have a little talk downstairs at the prince's discretion. Please, go ahead, my sheriff. You heard the prince. Get up. Let's go. He doesn't wait for confirmation. He just grabs the man and drags him, kicking and screaming, out of the room. Conversations start all around you, some whispered, some quite overt. Sophie looks somewhat bored of the whole affair, her eyes wandering from art piece to art piece, clearly finding nothing to her particular liking. Well, she's probably already seen them before. Torture in an art gallery. Will Shadir manage on his own? What happens now? So, what happens now? It'll be at least some minutes before Shadir gets the information he seeks out of this thug. Why not mingle while we wait for him to break? Excuse me. What information is that? I don't even know. Sophie leaves your side and goes to a corner of the gallery where a group of kindred, some seemingly pretty old-fashioned, gathered. A concierge offers you a drink. Still warm. It smells nice. Just a sip to start you off. A splash over your palate, coating your tongue and the inside of your cheeks. Nourishment. You're left to your own devices. You have a quick look around. The prince is currently talking to a dark... the thing I'm most curious about is, like, what her flavor is. Because I seriously want to know. So far, we found some things that work. Like, skater guy worked, right? Maybe it's dudes. Bet you it's dudes. Because we didn't like the girl. We didn't know what the first blood came from. I bet you my character's into dudes. Or something. I don't know. Maybe blood with drugs? I don't know. The prince is currently talking to a dark-skinned woman that you recall seeing here those few nights ago. She has a cold but noble countenance to her. Their conversation seems to be casual. A loud, shrill laugh turns your attention to the bespectacled man who you saw with Sophie on the night of your judgment. He is making the rounds, chatting up different patrons. You feel somebody's eyes on you. A casually dressed, plain-looking man stands alone near a column, watching you. He turns his gaze away sheepishly when he realizes you've noticed. Let's confront the man. Well, okay, hang on. The prince is talking to someone. I feel like we should confront the man looking at us. I also don't like the fact that this says, try to talk to the prince. It would be very rude for us to interrupt a conversation with the prince, I feel. Chat up the man with the glasses. I don't know if he's important. Confront the man looking at you. There's something about this guy. It's not that he's staring at you. Most everybody in this room has at one point or another. It's how he does it. He seems shy, maybe even afraid. It's hard to find a secluded spot in the gallery tonight, but this guy has an entire corner of the room all to himself. He's standing alone, no glass in hand, just a look of worry as you approach. Good evening, Mr. Larson, or you can call me Robert. Either's fine. Why are you standing alone like this? So, who are you? What's your role in this court? So, do you have a role in this court, or are you just here for the company? I'm gonna give him an accent. Now that's a loaded question. I'm one of Prince Panard's primogen. I'm here on business, in case the prince requires my insight, usually so she can hear me out before she ignores me. Not sure if you were paying attention the other night, but when the prince mentioned diverging opinions on whether you should be executed or not, that was me. I was the diverging opinion. Wow, thank you. That's huge. Thank you. Even if it didn't change the prince's mind. Yeah, that's usually how it goes. Listen, I don't want to be rude, and I appreciate you reaching out, but word of advice, stay away from me. Many vampires in this sect regard my position as primogen to be a kind of joke, you know? You talk to me, they'll notice, and they'll hold it against you. You have a quick look behind you and see that a few of the kindred are shooting you curious glances. One woman especially, a redhead boasting a fanciful hairstyle, watches you disapprovingly. Some of them already do, I imagine. Excuse me, I need to try to get a word in with a few of Primogen members before Shadir returns. Enjoy your night. With just the critical looks of a few kindred to keep you company, you start thinking about who to pursue next. You notice Sophie mingling with other kindred, clearly in her element, and not to be disturbed. Shadir hasn't come back yet, so you can probably still find time for at least one conversation. We should try to talk to the prince, I think. You approach the prince, trying to stay as respectful of her private conversation as possible. She glances at you as you step forward, her scrutinizing gaze mimicked by her companion. She addresses the dark-skinned woman before turning to you. Excuse me for just a moment, Samira. Yes, Marie, what is it? I wanted to give you my thanks. I wish to thank you for sparing me, Prince. I realize it wasn't an easy decision to make, and I wanted to express my sincere appreciation. How thoughtful of you. She takes a long look at you before she continues. I didn't do it from the kindness of my unbeating heart. You are an asset to Miss Langley, to the Camarilla, and to me. I believe I made the right decision. Prove to me and the other kindred of the city that it was so, and there may be more to your future nights than just survival and servitude. The dark-skinned woman looks impatiently at you and catches the prince's attention. Forgive me, that's all the time I can spare right now. We have some things to discuss with Samira still. Enjoy your night, Marie. Should we just bow and leave? We should, I feel like the bowing is good because we should be deferential, right? Just bow and leave. You leave the two women to their conversation, which they go back to almost immediately after the prince turns to Samira. A loud exchange near the staircase grabs everyone's attention. Shadir is back, and the hoodlum is with... That was like 15 minutes, my god. The sheriff pushes the other vampire inside the room. The vampire that threatened you last night is a mess. That stupid hat still inexplicably on his head, covering some of his ruined face in a welcome shadow. He's barely conscious. His skin is broken, you think. Something protruding there, making a bulge in the pant leg. One arm seems twisted at a strange angle. Very little blood, surprisingly, but clearly a whole lot of hurt. Well, Shadir, did our guest cooperate? Tell the prince your name. It's Howard. And who do you run with, Howard? The Midnighters. An Anarch coterie, my prince. Active for some time now, though from what this one has told me, the name is about the only legacy the group kept over the years. Coterie! A small group of kindred, united by the need for support and sometimes common interests. Ah, that's a word that's in the title of the game. I see. Hey, Prince, I didn't mean it. I didn't know. I didn't. A loud crack as some of the guests audibly gasp as Shadir's slap dislocates the man's jaw. A spray of blood creates something like an abstract art piece on the floor. This one is guilty of threatening a member of the Camarilla and claiming a domain without the prince's approval. That would be enough to pass with judgment, but he is also Anarch scum. My prince, there can be only one verdict. Final death. Do your duty, Sheriff. Unless, of course, somebody would like to play at being a good Samaritan like our dear Miss Langley a few nights ago. The look the prince serves you and Sophie is a cruel jest. Sophie takes it gracefully, smiling and slipping her arm into yours in a strange public show of affection. Nobody says anything. The vampire named Howard jumps to his feet and makes for the window. Order Howard to stop. The moment you catch Howard's eye, ordering him comes almost as an instinct to you. Stop! He stops, looks at you with one eye, the other swollen closed by Shadir's interrogation. A swift slash separates his head from his shoulders. The body slumps to the ground and starts decomposing in front of your eyes. The sheriff, sword in hand, gives you a nasty smile from behind where Howard used to stand. Well, Marie, your eagerness is laudable, if unnecessary. That Howard fellow couldn't have hoped to escape his fate, not with Shadier's expertise. I wanted to be fancy and impress everyone. That was my thinking behind that choice. However, I have made note of this show of loyalty. See? I know what's up! Although that did cost blood, so we gotta be careful. On both your and your patron's accounts, I would like to thank Miss Langley for bringing this Anarch thug to mine and Shadier's attention. I assume all have found the verdict satisfactory. It's a rhetorical question, and everybody here knows it. Then I consider tonight's meeting concluded. Good night to all of you. She steps out of the room, and you see that many of the guests motion to do the same. Sophie seems to be conversing with somebody, a serious-looking man in a trench coat, about what transpired. You probably have the time to strike up a conversation of your own, too. Shadier, okay, I'm sorry. Again, if I'm messing up Shadier, somebody correct me, because I'm just assuming. Excuse me, I could look it up on Google. I probably should, I'm sorry. Shadier al-Azmai is here, but clearly getting ready to leave, for one. Larson is still moping around. And the other man you noticed before Shadier brought the Anarch here is still chatting with the remaining attendants. We should talk to Shadier. Also because he's my favorite. The sheriff's mood seems to have improved, so you decide there won't be a better shot at saying your piece. He is just sheathing his sword as you approach him. He notices you just before his face turns from a melancholic frown to his regular predatory smirk. You seem to have caught him at a moment of reflection. What is it, Marie? I wanted to thank you. Impressive work tonight. I wanted to thank you. We should be thankful, right? I wanted to thank you for bringing me here in one piece, for giving me a chance. An emotion creeps into Shadier's face that you haven't seen the sheriff exhibit yet. Is that gratitude? It's fleeting, only there for a moment, gone in the blink of an eye. It was trying on my nerves, and you are still far and away from proving that it was the right thing to do. So don't think that a few kind words will let you off the hook. Still, I have to admit, I was as surprised as the prince when you jumped on the occasion to stop that Anarch from escaping. I was sure Valerie would have beat you to it. If there's nothing else, I'll be taking my leave. Why are you so mean? Do you enjoy being sheriff? We're not gonna ask him if he's mean. He's just doing his job. And let's be honest, he just acts like all of the other vampires. Cold and kind of disconnected. Do you enjoy being sheriff? Tell me, do you enjoy this, being a sheriff for Prince Panhard? Enjoyment has nothing to do with this. It's my duty. When Calebros asked me to fill the shoes of the sheriff and root out our enemies, I was glad to serve the sect. When Helen became prince and asked that I keep doing this, I agreed, because I believe in the Camarilla, and I respect the fact that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. This is a difficult voice. He picks up the sword and turns to the stairs. If more kindred understood that, my job would have been much duller, though. On that note, I wish you a good night. And watch yourself. You've messed up my batting average, so I'll be sure to keep a close eye on you. You and your baseball references, sir! With that final threat, he leaves the gallery. It's right about when Sophie also ends her conversation and walks over to you. Interesting evening, wasn't it? Come, Gregory's waiting downstairs. She seems preoccupied with something and not in a talkative mood. It's an awkward ride back to the city. This time you arrive at another building, just 2 streets across from your apartment. She brings you upstairs through a very nice lobby and a luxurious-looking hall into her domain. Please, have a seat. I shall be right with you. You take in the surroundings. The apartment is like a gallery, an old-school smoking room that you've seen in some period piece once. Okay, this line right here mixed in with some of the coloring in the shadows here, and I thought that there was just blood sprayed across the room, and I was like, I beg your pardon. The apartment is like a gallery, an old-school smoking room that you've seen in some period piece once, and a nouveau riche's living room, meticulously put together. Apologies, old habits die hard. Clearly, some stick with you even after your death. Uh-oh. She drags on the cigarette. I see what she's saying. I thought I was in trouble for a second. Breathes out. Breathes. How is she doing that? Can you do that? Oh, yes. You might not know. It takes some practice, but you can keep smoking if you'd like. Other things, too. Experiment. You might surprise yourself. But I did not bring you here to show off. This is where I rest these nights. That door in the back? The bedroom. Similar to yours. I have servants and bodyguards in addition, of course. I brought you here because I need you to trust me. When I told you before that I needed your best behavior to uphold my good standing with the court, I meant it. But that's not the whole story. I have your interest in mind, too. That's why I've given you your own haven. Why I'm trying to teach you how to navigate this new reality. But you need to trust me, or else this won't work out. You can come here whenever you feel like asking me something. When you're in trouble, too, though I hope that won't happen often. I would ask you to come here when you wake up tomorrow. I'll have something to discuss with you. I'll be here. I like Sophie. She's saved my life. She's earned I'm a bit of a trusting individual in these games. I'll be here. Okay, I'll come over first thing tomorrow night. I appreciate that. I can at least owe her, I can at least give her that. That silence again. There's definitely something on Sophie's mind tonight, but she doesn't seem eager to share it with you just yet. I'm leaving for another visit. Come downstairs with me. We'll give you a lift. A quick trip, some polite goodbyes, and a promise that you'll show up tomorrow later. You open the door to your haven and gather your thoughts. It's exciting in a way, being dragged deeper and deeper into the secret society and its rules. Whatever Sophie has planned for you, it's bound to teach you more about this thing you have become. You sink into your vampiric sleep with just a sliver of hope. It's a welcome change. All right. I know it's a little bit shorter than the other episodes, but I feel like this is a great place to leave off with I like this, by the way, that this city map, it's veins, obviously, but I mean, I just want to say it out loud, that it looks like veins filled with blood. It's very, Anyways, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying the series. I know, of course, I am. And I will see you guys next time.